And as you join us, Rooks here going through at that particular point. No great threat to the fast. Well, the Venesto team are not winning the team championship at the moment, but they've supported Indurain in fine style. And here then, Pedro Delgado, previous winner of this tour, now in the position of being a domestique, but out on the road in the time trial. He can do his own thing here. And there we're looking now at the 46-kilometre point. Yakimov fastest 54.47. Jean-Francois Bernard. So the top men, except for Rochet, are only just coming up to that particular point, and that will be our useful next check, because the 46 kilometres that we will have up there on the board is a final time check before they run down in towards the finish after 64 kilometres. 64 kilometres, by the way, on this stage from Tours to Blois, running just up above the Loire Valley, and that is exactly 40 miles. A lot of people are saying, well, how far is 64 kilometres? It isn't exactly 40 miles. So, right, somebody may say it's 40 point something, a little sniff, but it is 40 miles. You can divide by 8, multiply by 5, and it works out at 40 miles, and that's about it. So there's 40 miles in is the distance they're covering today. And to give you some idea of the time, this is one of the time checks further down, in fact, where we've got our camera situated, picking up Gerard Roux, who really smarting under the way in which he lost the French Championship to Luc Leblanc, but at least he's finishing in the Tour this year. Luc Leblanc, one of the Castorama riders that really got shelled out on that stage to Sestria, and eventually retired from the race when Claudio Chioccioli ripped everybody to pieces when there were 14 abandons in one day on the stage when Chioccioli romped in to win. I say romped, he didn't put a hell of a ride in, but he took that one and decimated the hopes of some 14 men. In fact, there are only 130 riders left in the Tour de France at the moment. We started with 198, so 68 have fallen by the wayside in what has been so far, and is certainly the fastest Tour de France we've ever had. At the moment, it looks like it's going to exceed the overall Tour in excess of 40 kilometres per hour, and it's Pedro Delgado we're looking at now, who originally had the fastest time for a Tour de France. And so it looks like his best average is likely to fall out of the equation now. And it was just 39.9 was the fastest before, but I think they're going to be over 40 kilometres per hour in this year's race. And Venesto then look like they're going to get the honour of having a victor. So whilst unfortunately now that Delgado is not in there with his teammates, certainly he's up there in the top 10. Start this morning in 6th place. Delgado 1 minute 41 seconds down on Buono this morning when he started. The time checks we've got so far aren't showing Delgado up there at all at the moment. At the 29-kilometre point, it looks as if Buono at the moment is 1 minute 18 seconds up on Hampson and 1 minute 32 seconds up on Lino. So the little equation we've got here, he's already pulled back his deficit on Lino, and he's past Lino on the road, but he's still got a long way to go to get up to Andy Hampson, 2:29. But he is certainly at the moment, he looks like he's got a fair chance of pulling out that third spot today. Gianni Buono, what a finishing line we'll have then. Indurain, Chioccioli and Gianni Buono. And that was going to be a little replete. We've seen that lot up there before, but here we go now with a lovely shot from the helicopter yet again. And at that 29 kilometre, that's the second time check that we've had now. Buono 33.37. Let's look further. See there Hampson behind Buono, and that just shows you how he is losing out at the moment on Buono. And Buono now working to pull back that 2 minutes 25 seconds. Here we are then, a steady 60 kilometres per hour. Absolutely phenomenal. That's somewhere around about 38 miles an hour. They've probably got to put the car into 5th gear. He just had a bit of a shout to Indurain, telling him he's doing a steady 60 Ks, and you can see it's fairly flat, but look at that, 60 kilometres per hour. Something like over 37, nearly 38 miles an hour. and at the 29-kilometre point, he's 2 seconds faster than Buono, 1.8 faster than Claudio Chioccioli. Everybody is falling down the leaderboard behind this man's powerful time trialling performance, and just look at those legs, like smooth flowing pistons on the London to Edinburgh Flying Scotsman Express. We have in fact got the man from Pamplona, the flying Spaniard now, in super style, really decimating this field. What a grand champion he is. And the motorbikes behind him in line astern, that phalanx of photographers wanting to get some pictures of the yellow jersey. And there is his teammate Pedro Delgado. Delgado, a great champion himself, who with great honour accepts the performance of Indurain, who was so helpful to him in the past. Delgado, who won this race in 1988. Now, with Delgado having won it in 91, heading for a second victory. We have to go back to 1973 when O'Connor won the race, but he was then, in his day, Louis O'Connor from Spain, having to strive against the might of Eddie Merckx. Eddie Merckx won the Tour de France 4 times on the trot. Then Louis O'Connor got it in 73, but Merckx got it back again in 74. We go back to 1959 when Bahamontes, the Spanish Eagle of Toledo, as he used to call him, great mountain climber, won in 1959. So Spain then, with so far 4 successes to their victory, have now looked like they're going to get another one. And never before has a Spanish rider, this man from Pamplona, up just in the Basque Country, had 2 on the trot. Brilliant performance by Indurain, and all the way through, everybody you speak to, and if you go into a cafe, they know you're with the Tour, and people start talking to you, and the first thing anybody says in the cafe is Indurain, très fort. And it's the whole thing you read about, so strong, so strong. And here he is just showing that marvellous strength, which put him in the prologue time trial in the yellow jersey. He started in the yellow, he prologue time trial down at San Sebastian in such fine form that he kept the yellow jersey. And only people like Hino and Merckx, so the people have that sort of capability, but he did it. Here I see the commissaire allowing the motorcycles forward. There's a pecking order with motorbikes, by the way. The cameramen know each other, and the commissaire lets them come forward one at a time to get them. So after 29 kilometres, 250 up on Chioccioli. Hampson doing still a good ride, 9:27. Buono 10:11, so Hampson's not going to let that third place go without a tremendous fight, because Buono's got to pull back 2 minutes 25 seconds on Andy Hampston. Of the two of them, certainly Buono is probably the strongest, and looking back over the last few years, undoubtedly he is the man with the better reputation in time trialling. But Hampston, hoping, I think, when that road goes up a bit towards the end, he can pull out a few vital seconds. It's going to be a cliffhanger. Lino really is out of it at the moment, because Buono has pulled back already the 47 seconds that separates him from Lino. So Pascal Lino will slide down to 5th place, although he might even go a bit worse than that if he doesn't watch out, because Delgado he's 3 minutes slower at the moment, according to the calculations here. Yeah, 2 and a bit minutes slower than Lino. So Lino, in fact, might not lose that 5th place. He could well hang on to that one. But there's very little in it as far as Buono and Hampson are concerned after 29 kilometres, which is just coming up towards the halfway point. And that is something in the order of about, 40, 50 odd seconds separating Hampson and Buono. Well, it's going to be close. There we are, the well-oiled legs, shaved legs that are massaged and oiled, and riding with a full skin suit on, you can see here. And of course they have to get them specially made with the yellow jersey overprinted with the sponsor's name, rather than having the jersey flapping in the breeze. Well, the performance that Buono is doing at the moment, he is only a couple of seconds slower than Indurain at one of the time checks we've got here, so he's doing a tremendous ride, and I think that Hampson's going to find himself being squeezed a bit at the moment. Certainly the gap is coming down. So on general classification then, the way it keeps going like this, Chioccioli will be 250 down, Hampson 9:27, Buono 10:11. That was the general classification at 29 kilometres. Stephen Roche at 55 kilometres. outside the top 6 at the moment, and trying to pull back those 2 seconds. I think what's he done? Oh, Zadov, this is going to be a good ride then, because Zadov is the man who's leading at the moment, and that is a check which is showing that Stephen Rochet is going faster than Yakimov and probably as quick as Zadov. We might see a new leader on the board here. That was 55 kilometres. Stephen's got 9 kilometres to go. That's 5 miles and a bit left for Stephen Rochet, a great gutsy time trialist, and my goodness, he rode his heart out when he won that stage into La Bourboule from Saint-Etienne. And Stephen showed he was back with a bang after all the troubles with his knees, his operations, his back that he's had pain and trouble with, the special treatment. He's been having to have 2 hours a day, special heat and sonic treatment on his back, and it's held out throughout the tour, and it looks like he can find himself in the top 3 or 4 at the end of this time trial as regards this stage, although on general classification, Stephen, I think, will be quite happy with wherever he is at the moment, roundabout his current place on is 9th. He might be 8th, but he's certainly going to be inside the top 10. Oh, Indurain, so powerful. The way he won that Luxembourg time trial decimated the field. Like La Cuevas, who's retired from the race now, 3 minutes back behind him. Buono was 3 minutes 41. Anybody who's anybody was really 3 or more minutes back behind him. Great Greg LeMond, 5th that day, 4 minutes 4 seconds back. Greg out of the race now. If you're just picking up the action in the Tour de France, we're looking at the yellow jersey of the man who's really dominated it ever since he took over that yellow jersey following the stage from Saint-Gervais-Mont-Blanc to Sestre. He's now on his way towards trying to win this stage, but this man here is trying to get 3rd place. We've got a fair old race on our hands today. Gianni Buono on his way. And Indurain, last man on the road, his yellow jersey, almost looking like the yellow sunflowers in the fields alongside him, and everybody applauding a fine performance here by the man who is still setting some extremely quick times indeed. But the battle is going on with Buono trying to take over that 3rd place. He's certainly faster at the 46 kilometre mark was Buono than Yakimov and Zadov. Yakimov was pushed back into 2nd spot by Buono, 1:25 down at that particular point, and Zadov was way back in 5th, 1 minute 48. But when you realise that Zadov, in fact, is the fastest rider we've got at the moment with 1:15.49, then Buono is on his way, the chap we're looking at now, for setting the fastest time. He's only been a couple of seconds slower than Indurain as well. So with the best time, 1:15.49 by Zadov, the Soviet Union rider now, who's just some 23 years of age and a world champion back in '87 and a stage winner in things like Tour of Normandy, Tour of the South, and overall he won the general classification in 1990 in the Tour of Sweden. He's a rider that's been brought on, Zadov, by Peter Post in the Panasonic team, and he's the one that these 2 riders are trying to beat. It's the fastest time we've had so far by Dmitry Zadov, one of the earlier starters in the race, but the young rider has comes to Leningrad, has set a benchmark for these 2 to go for. Always the glory of winning a stage and the financial reward, of course, but as far as Buono is concerned, he wants to ride up into that 3rd position on general classification. It might just be putting him in a position to win this time trial. So between Indurain and Buono, we're now looking at 2 riders with only seconds separating them. So this really, I think, I won't say it's revenge as far as Buono is concerned, because he's not had a particularly good tour. He's had 1 or 2 days when he's suffering. He has attacked Indurain. We saw him attack him on the stage into Alpe d'Huez. Well, every time he's attacked, he's been countered by Indurain, and the 2 of them, I think, as far as they're concerned, Buono knew this year he had met his match, because Indurain certainly has always kept his eye on that man, because Gianni Buono, the world champion, we see just up in front of us here, another rider who's come good in recent years. He won a stage in the Tour de France way back in 1988. He was 2nd in the Italian Championship in '89 when he came 11th in the Tour de France. And then into 1990, he took 2 stage victories in the Tour and finished 7th overall. And of course, here we have now Indurain, who knows a lot about winning the Tour de France, and is certainly doing what he can to catch back those seconds. He's slightly up on Buono at the moment, but you can never tell over this course the judgment and the strength. So at 55 kilometres on this stage from Tour de Bois, Perini on his way through. Well, Buono now is a minute 48 quicker, we understand, than Zadov, so it could be a change overall. Perini at that particular point. I'm just wondering what's happened to Rochet's time, because it must be getting close to Stephen to finish this race, because he was well placed on the time checks we've been having, and he's losing a bit of his speed towards the end, Stephen, but we'll wait till we see. There we are then, legs 11 himself, world champion, Gianni Buono, and has also been a champion of Italy. And here he is rolling on in, pushing again a big gear. Well, all you time trials out there, you've got to have strength to roll a big gear like this one. And Gianni Buono, who really, I suppose many of the British riders first got to know, was when he got the Wincanton Classic way back in 1990. And he showed his strength there, because the field down at Brighton had been over the Ditchling Beacon about 3 or 4 times. They were on the small circuit coming in towards the end of it. And the big sort of climb up Wilson's Avenue towards the horse racing track at the top of the town and overlooking the sea there at Brighton, and he went up Wilson Avenue on that last lap and he just left everybody else for dead. There was only about sort of 30 riders in contention then. The rest had been really sorted out by what was a very, very tough course on a hot day, and this man Buono just took off like the rest were glued to the tarmac. So he's got tremendous all-round ability. You don't get to become champion of the world unless you can pull off big one-day rides. But the question mark that many people have been asking now is Buono a Tour rider? Because he didn't ride the Tour of Spain, he didn't ride the Tour of Italy. He decided to keep all his strength just for this one race. That was to ride only the Tour of France, and therefore to try and win it after finishing second last year when he had a stage victory at the Alpe d'Huez, and after finishing 7th in 1990 when he had 2 stage victories. He's been like Indurain, working his way up. He was 62nd in 1988, and so Buono put his whole season round this one. Well, Jens Hepner, that's not quite as quick as I think he would like, because he was searching to try and get into the top 10. He was just 0.39 of a second down, so 118 something. Oh, here comes right. I thought Stephen should be coming up to finish. Remember, the time to beat is that of Zadov, 1:15:49. Now he's outside. He's slowed a bit towards the back end of the race, so still a tremendous ride by Zadov. It's still up there as being the best we've had so far. And Rochet coming in is still going to find himself in the top half dozen at the moment. Go on, Stephen, see if he can get inside Livio's 1:16:33, because that's the one to beat. Still another ride well over 30 miles an hour today on this course, and he's just done it. He's just in 4th place, 50.174 kilometres per hour. Back with Indurain then. Another quick look at the speed on the clock. Lovely style, and I was saying earlier about pushing big gears. A lot of time trials I see, they put the big one in, and you can almost count the revs slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 like that. But this pedalling actually is nice and smooth, and of course all these riders working now with pacemakers so they can just check their heartbeats. They've got so pulse meters. They've also got their own little computers on the bike to maintain the right speed, but the legs do go around quite rhythmically. And this rider here, Pascal Lino, well, at the moment certainly Buono has seen him off, and that means that they're going to switch places. So Lino is going to drop back down into 5th place, because we know on the time checks we've had so far, with the 20 kilometers left then for yellow jerseyed Miguel Indurain here, and the yellow jersey had been on the shoulders of this rider for something like 10 days in the Tour de France this year, and he was very knowledgeable about the sport. He knew that his age and being new into position in the yellow jersey, he'd be under pressure from the big top men, because this race, the Tour, needs riders around about 26, 27, 28 years of age. But this young rider here did a great ride, and he's still battling away to stay in the top half dozen. Pascal Lino in action. He has moved up into third place on general classification, and that Hamston then looks like he's going to be dislodged because he needed 2:25. He's now gone past that by about some other 20 seconds then, so it looks like that Buono, of course Hamston could come back under pressure that has been exerted so far. It might be something that Buono started very fast. We've been getting some very good time checks in from him so far, but undoubtedly the performance of Buono, and there you can see it. Look, after 46 kilometers of this race have been covered. Indurain is faster, but Buono just showing how he's eating in and has eaten into the gap between himself and Lino and Hamston. So we're going to find him there as the third place man up on the rostrum at the end of the race this year. That's certainly what it looks like at the moment, but of course we've still got the road stages yet to go, a couple of them out there on the road, and anything might happen still, because if they're only a few seconds in it. We've seen Lino always prepared to attack. We know that Hamston prefers to go in the mountains, but nevertheless the race is not over till we finish in the Champs-Élysées on Sunday. And right now they're shuttling the cards a bit, because last year Indurain was winner of the Tour de France. Buono was second, Chioccioli was in third spot. And this young man here, Pascal Lino, was not even in contention last year. He was just riding around his Tour de France, helping RMO and trying to get Charlie Motti up on the rostrum. Charlie finished up in fourth place last year and had hoped, in fact, to do better than that this year, but unfortunately sidelined and out of it. So young Pascal Lino then, just some 26 years of age, just coming up toward the time. 28 years of age is Indurain, by the way. Indurain just hit good form last year and this, so young Pascal Lino then is just about right for the future as far as France is concerned, to keep to get the yellow jersey. A little bit of a sprint here then. You can see that Kaspudis, the Lithuanian, was at one time in sixth place, 16:56. Perini is just going to pip that one. So that Giancarlo Perini will be a very good performance as far as they're concerned, because that's helping Carrera with the team. Rochet already in as well, and Rochet was 16 something. I didn't actually write it down as such, but certainly the time from Perini quite useful, because we know that out there, I see Chioccioli, by the way, also riding for Carrera, that's the general classification, by the way. I keep sort of confusing me, sticking up what could be the general classification at the end of it. So certainly Chioccioli looks like he's going to be second this year after being third last year in the Tour de France. Buono dropping back one, but Buono's really ridden himself to a standstill today. Yep, it's quite a little cliffhanger, this one, and not so dominant Miguel Indurain as he was in Luxembourg. I think to an extent, we were discussing this morning, and I'm going to chat with the German commentators, and Rudy Alting in particular this morning. My French is rather fragmented. You can just imagine an Englishman and a German chap speaking fragmented French together. Rudy's French is a damn sight better than mine. And before we went on air, we'd been talking about the falling wind today, which in fact wouldn't decimate the field quite as much. By decimate, I mean some of the top riders with the falling wind would probably be able to keep the time closer together than the one at Luxembourg, where there was quite a nice little climb in it, but also they had to ride into a headwind, because it was an out and home course last time, which is what British time trialists do. This isn't, which wouldn't go down as sort of record in England, because it's a straight out time trial, not one of these where you have to go out and come back and finish in the same spot or near the same spot where you started. There are restrictions in England about time trialing, how near the finish has to be to the start, or conversely how far apart they allow it to be. In other words, you can sometimes, I mean, I used to ride a time trial, you start on top of a thumping great hill and you finish at the bottom of it, but there were certain restrictions on how far apart you could finish. But they were out and home or circular time trials, whereas this one we're watching today is straight out. They've got the wind drifting, not too strong, but just a bit behind them. Temperatures moving up into the 30 degrees. Very, very hot indeed. And Eric Breukingen is going to put a cracking time up here then. Yakimov could go under. Yakimov, who was, in fact, no, he's now going to have to challenge Rochet's fourth place, 1:16.32 at the moment. Stephen Roche then behind the early leaders. Zadov, Bernard and Yakimov, and is he going to do it? Just about. So that puts Stephen down into fifth spot, puts him up into fourth then. So breaking then behind Zadov, Jean-Francois Bernard and Yakimov. They haven't given us a complete finishing list on the screen recently, but Buono then at this 55-kilometre point, and let's see. In fact, it's Lino, my mistake. I just looked at the crash out in the distance, couldn't see the body coming up then. And so the, whoops. Well, Indurain and Buono at the moment, in fact, it looks like, although Indurain had the first check 3 seconds faster than Buono, at the second check he was only 2 seconds better, and the 46.3 kilometres, that is Indurain to Buono. It looks like Buono closing up on Indurain. Right, so the battle then is on to see who's going to win this stage. It certainly would be a psychological benefit to Buono as we watch Lino come through here. A little bit down even on Finon's time, and the crowd saying, come on, you've done extremely well. This young lad who turned professional way back in 1989 when he won the Tour of the European Community. A very good pursuiter too. He was in the French Olympic pursuit team in '84 and was the champion of France in the team time trial. And also he was champion of France for pursuiting in 1986. So he knows what it's like to suffer when you're out there on your own. And he won the championship again in 1988 just before he turned pro. So here the RMO rider coming in now, this massive crowd cheering him on because he's done a tremendous job so far in this race. He had the yellow jersey for a couple of days in the Dauphiné Libère last year. That just showed us that he was on his way up into the top ranks. Pascal Lino now heading in toward the finish. We're watching the last man on the road, Miguel Indurain, who now knows from the time checks coming in that Buono is beginning to accelerate away from him. By accelerate, I mean 3 seconds first check, 2 seconds second check, and 1 second at the third check. So he is no threat to Buono to Indurain overall on general classification. He started out this morning, Gianni Buono, way back down in fifth place, 10 minutes and 9 seconds in arrears. He lost all that time in the mountains. He lost a lot of it in that time trial in Luxembourg, because that was the one when really Indurain dealt a death blow to many of the people's hopes of success in this tour with an absolutely brilliant ride with the nearest rider, his own teammate De La Cuevas, back behind him in 3 minutes and the rest trailing in after that. So Buono not so good at Luxembourg, but certainly coming good now, giving us a tremendous little battle then for the stage victory today. Bad luck then to Andy Hampsten. We haven't seen anything of him at all recently, but the rider then who previously had won the Tour of Italy, as has this man you're watching now, Indurain. Hampsten not quite on par for time trials, so perhaps he'll go and practice a bit more for next year. The Benesto team, when we get to the end, will be happy with the money that Indurain's going to earn for winning the race overall, because that looks like he's set to do it at the moment. As Buono is coming in. Now we've got to watch the clock here for this one and write this time down, because it's going to be ever so close then to see what Buono is doing then, because as Delgado finishes, Buono starts to come into sight then. So Zadov's time 1:15.49. Look at Buono down at 13:55. This is going to be the fastest time we've had so far, and it's Buono that went for third place. He's going to get that one. He's also gone into the lead, 1:14.01. Gianni Buono is back with a bang, showing the people right now then that he has got it. And Brian Montgomery said he'd already written down 1:14 before the chap even took off. I don't know. There we are. Well, Andy Hampsten, who now is sitting up. Look, he's blown completely. I think he just said that's it. He's up on the tops now on this climb here. See, he's got his hands actually on the parts where you rest your elbows. And a sympathetic round of applause for this Motorola rider, the man from Boulder, Colorado. Long, tall, slim fellow, 5'9" tall, weighing 140 pounds. That's exactly 10 stone. But this man, another tall, slim, fairly light fellow. And it looks to me on this little slow bit here as if Buono, who romped in there in 1:14.01, and remember the distance is exactly 40 miles, and if you multiply that at 3 minutes per mile, that's 1 hour and 20 minutes for a speed of 30 miles an hour. Buono has just gone round this course of 40 miles in 1 hour and 14 minutes. That is absolutely outrageous, and Chioccioli is doing a fantastic ride too, because Zadov had been the early leader. Zadov had held the lead at 1:15.49 till Buono pushed him down. So Chioccioli is close up on Zadov's time as well. At this particular check, 55 kilometres into the race, just that slender 9 to go, just over 5 miles for Claudio Chioccioli. And they're doing that, you can imagine that, if that's 2 minute miles at 30 miles an hour, they're doing it inside the last 5 miles, inside 30 miles an hour. Well over 30 miles an hour on what is an undulating course coming in. Not all that flat, not all that easy. In fact, into Buono, it goes up slightly as well at the end of it all. Claudio Chioccioli getting this enormous applause from the spectators, welling out. Just imagine this, like, isn't it fantastic? Everybody cheering a great champion, the man who really ripped the race apart on that stage in Sestra. Frightened to death, this fellow too as well, because Indurain that day knew that Claudio Chioccioli had to contain him, he had to ride up and stay in contention that day that Claudio Chioccioli went away. Indurain fought back, he finished third on that day. He had to keep Claudio Chioccioli inside, he did it that day, and now he's doing what he knows best. And look at that, he's fractionally up on Buono. I say fractionally, he's about 30 seconds now, so he's pulled it back. The earlier time checks we've got are 3, 2 and 1 seconds. He's come back very quickly indeed then, because look at that. He is faster now by Buono by something like 30 seconds, so he's gone very quickly between here and here to pull back 30 seconds. It's only 9 kilometres, so that is something. I wonder whether that time check was exactly right we got, because that is phenomenal if he is accelerating that fast, because I don't think Buono died. Buono is going at the moment to be the man who's holding the leaderboard, because certainly the other riders coming in are not going to get him at the moment. Lino isn't going to beat him, Hampson isn't going to beat him. Chioccioli might do that, you never know, we'll have to wait and see. But Indurain undoubtedly trying to win this stage and keep the yellow jersey in a phenomenal fashion. So for Andy Hampson then, this rider here from the other side of the world, one of the Americans that came over alongside Le Mans, who started the whole thing. And in 1986 he took the white jersey for the best rider under 24. And that year he really said to people, I've actually come and I've arrived. Then he went on into 88 when he won the Giro d'Italia, and he had 2 stage victories, by the way, in that one. And he used to go back home and wipe up the Coors Classic as well, a great stage race in America. But this is the man who has done the apprentice over the years, and right now looks like he's come back with tremendous speed toward the back end of this race, and he might well be the victor. We'll have to wait and see. Don't go away. Come back for more action from Eurosport to see if he gets this stage victory. Yellow jersey is eating up the road now. He's suddenly accelerated towards the end. That gap, if you just switched on, the one he's got to beat at the finish is the time of Gianni Buono, who's done 1 hour, 14 minutes and 1 second for the 40 miles. Just imagine that. Just an hour and 14 minutes on your bike for 40 miles, and that is the best time so far, but Indurain is catching up on it. Claudio Chioccioli is something round about a couple of minutes, 2.5 minutes down on Indurain's time at the moment, so he's losing ground as well. But I don't somehow think he's certainly not going to lose his place to Buono, because Buono would have to climb over him by about 8.5 minutes, and he certainly isn't going to do that. Here we go then. And he's in accelerating, and he's going to really try and win this one. If he gets inside 1:14, which is the target, what a speed he will do. We'll have to watch up on the top of the little screen to get the average when it comes up there, because you'll see in the top right-hand corner of your screen to give you some idea of what the average is going to be. But certainly they're going well over 30 miles an hour. So, in fact, Indurain's now something like 37 seconds up on Buono at the last check we've got then. Some of the latest riders coming in now. We're so locked into the combat at the back to see if Indurain can do better than Buono, who really has thrown down the gauntlet. And here we go then. Lino is 1:18.36. He's in 19th place. So A courageous ride for Pascal Lino, but it's not enough to keep that third spot. He will have dropped down. Andy Hampson still riding hard here, knows from the time check, so we will know that Buono has pushed him out of the third spot likewise. Claudio Chioccioli riding hard again, but the position's only shuffling sort of one place. Buono started 5th this morning, and he leapt over Lino and Hampton, so in fact that still means that Lino is 5th overall, because Delgado doesn't look like he's going to get him, but we'll have to wait till all the computer spews out its results later on. But we've seen Lino finish. In fact, only now to finish will be Hampton and Chioccioli and Indurain. So not many riders on the road now, and many of them then, they're the Mavic car will drop in behind the enormous convoy. I'm surprised they haven't actually gone back yet, still and shown us the complete convoy, because it stretches a long, long way back behind Now then, the time checks we've got coming in are pretty significant at the moment, because they start at 3-minute intervals, the top men here, and Claudio Chioccioli's probably got him in sight. Yeah, there's the 2 kilometres to go, and right down the road then, at 3-minute intervals, these top men started, and you can see now then, with just 3 minutes there between Claudio Chioccioli and Indurain, there's Jean-Marie Leblanc, the director organiser of the tour, was standing up looking into the distance, as we're doing now, to see the yellow jersey trying to eat up the ground between himself and Claudio Chioccioli. Well, if he knocks another 3 minutes out of Claudio Chioccioli, that will be just curtains for everything. And there he is. There's Claudio Chioccioli, and we're inside 2 kilometres left to go. What a spectacle we're going to have, because we're looking at first and second on general classification in the 1992 Tour de France. Gianni Buono is already in at 1:14.01. Looks like he is probably going to finish second on the stage to Indurain, who's really scorching up the tarmac now, melting it, his wheels flying round. Claudio Chioccioli on his way then to earn more money for his team. Carrera coming into today had already earned 640,000 francs. That's £64,000 for the effort so far. That does not take into account, though, the awards which will be there for the overall placings at the end of the race. And Claudio Chioccioli, looking for second place overall in the general classification, will take a hatful of money with him, because he in second place will get a nice lump of 800,000 French francs to finish overall in the top slot. So that'll be £80,000 better off if he hits the finish. Whoops, slipped a bit there. 80,000 French francs. £80,000, sorry, for Claudio Chioccioli's riding into. So the Carrera team then will probably earn the thick end of £750,000 worth of money at this rate of knots. And sorry, £75,000 at this rate of knots. There's a hatful of money still to be got for Carrera, and this is the man that set the race alight. And there Indurain is coming in behind him as well. What a finish we've got here. The Spanish flag here obscuring the view at the moment, but I don't think anybody worry about that. They'll be going absolute bananas in Spain, because they've got the Olympics coming up. They're going to have a man in the yellow jersey as well. Although the Olympics is an amateur race, these are professionals riding themselves into the ground. What is Indurain's time going to be? Because 1:14.01 is what we've got to be, and there 1:13.21 it is. 1:13.21 Indurain's time, and he wins the second time trial of the Tour de France, as he also won the prologue. That's 3 races against the watch for this superb athlete from Spain. The man from Pamplona has done it again. He's just shown his supreme dominance when it comes to time trialing, and he's taken the stage, this one from Tour de Buono, 64 kilometres on the 19th stage of the Tour de France. That was an absolute humdinger of a ride yet again by Miguel Indurain. He seemed to conserve his energy for a little bit, and then slowly but surely he accelerated away, and we could see then that he saved it for the end, and that was an absolutely brilliant time. And this, I told you, there'd be a massive convoy of vehicles coming in. This is what we're looking at now. You see the breakdown truck they have in case anybody has a problem with the car, the blue vehicles from the police. And they won't have the broom wagon there picking up the ride like they normally do, because nobody normally retires in the on a time trial stage. But certainly the riders today had a flat course to contend with, and just a couple of days racing left in the Tour de France. And Blois, beautiful part of the world, again down by the Loire, that magnificent chateau, a prime example of superb French architecture. They've got a particular flair for buildings, and just isn't that lovely? It almost looks like fairyland, doesn't it? Well, the second man overall in the Tour de France, nearly being caught by the first man overall for 3 minutes in 40 miles at an average speed for Miguel Indurain of 52.35 kilometers per hour. I think that's going to be something of a record. We'll have to wait and find out then. The provisional position at the moment then was that Indurain was in first place ahead of Buono, Zadov third, Chioccioli fourth, and Eric Brooking in fifth place. We'll wait then for that to come up on our board and to see if that was what it is. But certainly, there we are. Now then, Indurain, Buono at 40, Zadov 228. Oh, in fact, Bernard was there. We just didn't get that one. I'm sorry about that. So Bernard, in fact, was in there, and Yakimov and Chioccioli. Well, the green jersey, the points jersey going to Laurent Jalabert yet again. No problems today because that wasn't in contention, but he's got to watch it tomorrow and the next day, because we've still got a couple of days racing ahead for these riders, and before we finish off in Paris. But the race tomorrow then going from Blois to Nanterre. We've got 222 kilometres tomorrow for the riders to cover. That's around about 140 miles or so. And again, it's fairly flat. There are just a couple of sprints. There's no King of the Mountains there for anybody to rush up the... heading due north, in fact, to Nanterre. It's on the outskirts of Paris. So if anybody's thinking of coming over to see the Tour, the final day in Paris, then why don't you nip over early and go to Nanterre tomorrow and see the finish, because they'll be down in Nanterre at around about 16:41. That's French time, of course, as the Loire River. There we are, the Tour of Blois. The provisional general classification shows that Buono is in third place. Hampson and Lino have been pushed back, and Delgado there in sixth spot after that time trial stage today. Well, there was a bit of a shuffling round going on. We thought the battle for third was going to be on. Buono did a great ride to do that, and tomorrow we've got this stage then 222 kilometres into Nanterre. So we nip down there and get there by 16:41 French time. You'll be able to see the finish and then trundle on into Paris the next day. Well, of course, in the finish on Sunday, we're not going, we're actually in Paris, so the race will start out at a place called La Défense on Sunday and head back down through Versailles in a southwesterly direction. It'll turn down in the valley of the Chevreuse and then come back up in towards the finish at the Champs-Élysées. There's some beautiful countryside too between La Défense and the Champs-Élysées, so if you do come over, get a map of the course and nip out. In fact, you can go and see it near Versailles, then cut across country and see it coming back in, and still get into the centre of Paris. We've got a motor car to see the finish as well. So a lot of spectators will be dapping round to see the finish of the Tour. So we'll be here in Blois for the start tomorrow. We won't have it on telly, actually. We'll be going to pick it up again like we normally do for the last hour and a half or so. But Indurain has reinforced his authority on this race. Chioccioli has hung on to his second spot. Buono is now in third. That may be the way they'll finish at the end of the Tour this year, but you can never take it for granted at any time. So it's bringing us to a great race here. As one man has enlivened it, we're looking at now is Stephen Roche, and all due courage for him to continue throughout this race, winning a stage as well. We've had a fantastic tour. Every day's been great. So myself, David Duffield of the Eurosport Tour de France crew, don't forget to join us tomorrow. Bye-bye.